Steven, how many predictions do you think will be right this year?
None.
Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is my prediction video for what I think might happen in the camera industry in 2021. Now, we're filming this on December 15th of 2020. I've looked back over some of my past prediction videos, and I will tell you that I've been 100% correct year after year after year. I mean, listen to this prediction from the 2013 prediction video.
I think they're gonna get away from the XQD card. It was an experiment, nobody's picking up on it. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think the XQD card is going to die like the beta tape.
Nailed it. Let's just say I'm 100% right at the time that the video comes out until I'm proven wrong. Nonetheless, here we are. It's the end of 2020 and it's been a bumpy ride for everyone, but it has seen some fantastic releases across the board for the most part. And I'm looking at you, Pentax. What have you done this year? I would have made fun of Nikon, but we know how sensitive Nikon shooters have become lately. They're almost as bad as Fuji diehards. Speaking of Nikon, let's take a look at their 2020 before I give you my predictions for 2021. Nikon's given us the Z5, a slightly overpriced entry-level full-frame camera that if it were priced right would be a top seller. On top of that, they've given us the Z6 II, the Z7 II, the 14-24 2.8S, 70-200 2.8S, and just barely the 50 1.2S. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, and I think so did everyone else. The D780 was released back in January. Not exactly a bad showing for a company that people think is on its way out. Nikon's definitely in transition. Some people are predicting the downfall of Nikon to come quick, but I don't think that it's gonna happen as quick as people think, or if it happens at all. Now, I think Nikon's got more runway than people are aware of. What Nikon has is a deep legacy of, how do I put this delicately, old people who might be too stubborn to want to change. Don't get me wrong, these old people were once young people in the 70s and 80s who bought into the Nikon system and have loved it ever since. This is such a dedicated group of Nikon lovers who can carry Nikon for the next 10 years or so. But at some point, Nikon needs to draw in that younger crowd and start the cycle all over again, which brings me to my Nikon predictions for 2021. Nikon's not ready to kill off the DSLRs just yet and will hit us with a D860 or D900, which I suspect will be the last of the great full-frame DSLRs. My guess is it will have 61 megapixels and basically use the same sensor as the Sony A7R4. It's going to borrow the AF system from the D6 when its mirror is down, and when the mirror is flipped up, it's going to incorporate a new AF system that's going to surpass the Z7 II. In fact, the sensor and AF system of this camera will find its way into the future Z8 mirrorless camera, which I don't think will be out until the end of 2021 or early into 2022. I think Nikon will hit us with a Z30 mirrorless camera in 2021. This Z30 will be similar to the entry-level D3000 DSLR range of cameras. It will offer us the bare minimum of features, but it will have a Z-mount, a crappy good enough kit lens, 1080 video with autofocus that kinda works, and a price tag around $550. But what about the PRO Mirrorless body? Now, if we're to see a Z9 in 2021, it's going to have to be towards the tail end of the year and probably be a development announcement if that is what they give us. I do think that we will see a bunch of new Z glass throughout the year, from a 24-120 to a 200-600 and an 85 1.2 to a 400 2.8 and a 600 f4. Look to Nikon to round out their Z-mount lenses in 2021. Now, at the end of the day, don't count Nikon out just yet. They are not the sleeper of the bunch like Canon was, but they still have a chance. They are the underdog. And do you know what an underdog is?
It's a hungry dog. Hungry dogs run faster.
In this case, Nikon's more like the runt of the litter. Nikon needs to get one thing right more than anything else. If they can get the autofocus right, I see no reason why they wouldn't be able to compete moving forward. Now, since this is a prediction video, I'll just say it right now, right here. I could see myself coming back to Nikon one day if, and a big if they get that AF right. If they don't, then the fat lady might be getting ready to sing. Let me jump in here real quick to say thank you. Thank you for supporting us in 2020. And if you'd like to show some support, you can pick up FroPack 2 right now, which consists of 15 all-new custom Lightroom presets at fronosfoto.com/FroPack2. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters. And if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale. Or you could bundle FroPack 1 and FroPack 2 together to save even more. And guess what? FroPack 3 is on its way soon, and the people that get to see it first are the people who own FroPack 1 and FroPack 2. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, let's move on to Canon. And guess what Canon's gonna do? They're gonna keep bringing the heat. What, too soon? No, it's never too soon. 2020 was a fire year for Canon. They started it off in January by releasing the 1DX Mark III, which is one of the greatest mirrorless cameras ever made up to this point. Now, that's not a typo. It's a fantastic mirrorless camera once you flip that stupid mirror out of the way, that shoots 20 frames per second with a mechanical shutter or silent and has amazing IAF and lock-on tracking. It's built like a brick shithouse, kind of like me, but it's basically the last flagship DSLR Canon will ever make. Onto the mirrorless front, Canon really turned up the heat to 11 with the release of the R5 and R6. Now, both of these cameras exceeded my expectations as still cameras. We're talking the ability to shoot 12 frames per second with a mechanical shutter and 20 frames per second silent, all while incorporating an autofocus system that challenges Sony's dominance. I've been saying Canon's the sleeper of the bunch for years, and 2020 proved my prediction right. I didn't think that Canon would be able to fire up the afterburners this quick and do what they've done, but they've done it in short order. They may have been caught flat-footed a few years ago, trying to decide which direction to take their photo business, but they've done a masterful job all around with their mirrorless transformation. So what does 2021 hold in store for Canon? First, the DSLR is dead in Canon's eyes. Sure, you may still see the super low-end Rebels, but the 90D will not be replaced. The 5D Mark IV will not be replaced, and EF lenses are already on the fire heap. 2021 will signal the end of the road for the EOS M mount. Now, I personally love the M50 and the M6 Mark II, but Canon needs to move to a unified mount across their systems. Now, that's why by the end of 2021, we will see the development of the first RF mount APS-C sensor-sized camera. To go along with that release, you will see a new budget-friendly lineup of RF crop sensor lenses. I don't think Canon's going to take 2021 off. Now, I think we're going to see something like an EOS R3 or the R2D2, which would be a true entry-level, full-frame, budget-friendly camera. Next, they'll hit us with an R5S, a super high megapixel pro camera that doesn't focus on video at all. And the final body of the year will be a development announcement of the 1RX or R1X. I think you'll see a 20.1 megapixel sensor used, and I don't think that we will see a global shutter just yet. But who needs the global shutter when you can do 20 frames per second with a mechanical shutter? We're talking about a full-on pro body that will take two CF Express Type B cards, have the RF mount, have a massive crisp and clear 9 million pixel EVF, large built-in grip, bigger battery, dual pixel AF version 3 with a Digic 12 processor and 8K video that will not even be mentioned, though it will be there. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be used at the Olympics, but it won't be officially available until 2022. On the lens front, you can expect to be wowed by even more unique fast RF glass. Imagine a 12 to 24 f2, or a 10 to 24 f2.8, or even a 70 to 135 f2. And we already know that they're working on big ass RF glass like a 400 2.8, a 600 f4, an 800 5.6, and maybe a 1200 millimeter lens. If anyone can do it, Canon certainly can. I expect Canon's going to keep the fire burning well into 2021. Let me cut in here real quick and say, if you haven't signed up for the Fronos Photo email list, just look for this orange box over on the website, put your name, email address in it, hit send it, and I will send you this guide to capturing motion in low light situations for free. Oh yeah, also, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, can you please hit the subscribe button? Next up, we have Sony, who pretty much took a wait-and-see approach to 2020 in terms of still cameras. They finally released the A7S III after 4 years of waiting, and even tried to tell us how amazing of a stills camera it was going to be, when we all know damn well it's geared towards filmmakers. By all accounts, the A7S III was a massive hit, and I suspect its AF system will find its way into future cameras. Speaking of future cameras, Sony took one of their most popular cameras ever, the A7 III, and decided to shrink it into the A7C, an A6600 style body that chopped off the EVF from the top in favor of a minuscule, almost impossible to see through mini EVF. To add to that, they dumbed it down even further by taking out one of the card slots, but updated the AF to the same system that you'll find in the A7R4. So what does 2021 bring us from Sony? Well, to kick off 2021, Sony will release the A7 IV with a body that matches the A7R4, but this time around includes 2 CF Express Type A slots that, get this, are reverse compatible with memory stick. I mean, SD cards. Though I wouldn't put it past Sony to allow it to take Memory Stick Duo, you know, those purple memory cards that no other company ever got behind. The A7 IV will have a new 24 megapixel sensor. Yes, I think it will stick with 24, shoot 20 frames per second silent, 12 frames per second mechanical, offer high-end 4K 120 and 60, but hold off on 8K for now. The new autofocus system is going to blow our minds for a camera that's priced at $2299. I think it's still too soon to see an A7R5, but it's not too soon to see a completely redesigned from the ground up A9 III. The A9 and the A9 II are insane feats of technology, but the A9 III must take it even further. I think we will see a slightly higher megapixel sensor, new Bionz X processor, which will power an autofocus system like we've never seen before. You will see dual CF Express Type A slots that will put an end to the slow-ass writing speeds that we're used to with the A9 series, and finally, it will shoot RAW files up to 24 frames per second silent, and with a new shutter mechanism, will shoot 16 frames per second with the mechanical shutter. All of these new features will come at a price though, $5299. On the glass front, I would look to Sony taking a walk down memory lane and updating some of their original E-mount lenses. The 70-200 is in dire need of being replaced. The 24-70 could use some updating. Their 35 1.4 is ancient, and their 85 1.4 just isn't as sharp as the Sigma version. To round it out for Sony, they probably will update their APS-C lineup, but maybe they will surprise us all with a sub $1,000 full-frame body that has the innards of the A7 III, but is shaped like a real camera and not like the A7C. Like I said earlier, it seems like Sony sat out 2020, at least from the stills standpoint, but 2021 is going to be different. This is a huge year to see how they counter what Canon did in 2020. Before I get to the final predictions, do you want to show the world that you shoot RAW? Well, if you said yes, head on over to store.fronosphoto.com to pick up all of your I Shoot RAW swag right meow. Now let's talk about one of the most important things in photography: glass, 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 glass. 2021 will be the year that we start seeing Tamron, Sigma, and a few other new lens manufacturers make RF and Z mount glass. Tamron's focus has shifted to creating more affordable 2.8 zoom lenses, and it's been working for them. Not everyone can afford to drop $2,000 on a high-end lens, but they still understand the importance of fast glass, and Tamron has their back with a variety of options. I suspect these options will find their way into the Nikon and Canon universe in 2021 in one way or another. On the flip side, Sigma has taken the approach that they're going to make high-end fast glass that's going to challenge the likes of Sony, Canon, and Nikon, not just with better pricing, but with very comparable and in some cases, better image quality. When Sigma hits us with RF and Z mount lenses, that's going to change so much for so many people. Oh, you thought I forgot, didn't you? Well, I didn't. What's gonna happen with the
Mount Alliance?
Well, not much, but they will continue to make L-mount glass for the 12.5 people who are actually joined in forces with that alliance. Now, do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know the truth? The truth of the matter is, there is no such thing as a bad lens today. From kit lenses to the most expensive, if you know what you're doing, you're going to get great results. Before I close the books on my 2021 predictions, I know if I didn't mention Fuji or Panasonic that people would ask why. The simple answer is I don't know enough about their systems to make an educated guess on what direction they will be going. Of course, they're going to continue to innovate and release new bodies, but I'm not going to make any predictions about them at this time. Feel free to leave your predictions for those guys down below and also to comment on mine with your reactions. I have a feeling that 2021 is going to be a pretty big and important year in the photo industry. I can't wait to see what's coming next, and I want to thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.